Professor Gulshan Sachdeva, School of International Studies, JNU. Sir, a very warm welcome to DD India News Hour. Now, I'll begin by the statement by UK PM. He said, "We signed a major trade deal with India in July, the best secured by any country, but the story doesn't stop there." How do you react to this, sir?
Well, that's true because, I think this deal is a game changer. In a way, I mean, India-UK relations obviously are historical. And since 2004, we also had strategic partnership. But in the last few years, since Brexit, I think the economic and the strategic priorities of both the countries have converged. Which has resulted into not just only comprehensive strategic partnership, and now we have also signed this, the trade deal, which is going to be implemented from next year.
Yeah. This
deal is a game changer in a sense that, we have also, it's also very bold from the India's point of view. We have also crossed many traditional red lines. We have also opened some of the areas. Particularly, automobile sector, public procurement. At the same time, India's almost more than 99% of products would immediately, once the deal is in force, will start entering the British market. So, both the governments are quite bullish about this. Already, if you look at the goods and services trade between India and the UK, this is more than 55 billion US dollars.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, as a result of this, and if you look at all other, in fact, in the last 10, 15, 20 years, the major financial and technical collaborations of Indian companies, large number of them also with the British companies. And UK is also really looking forward because this is going to be a third largest economy in the next few years.
Yes.
And they feel that they are also quite competitive in many of the services which India would need. So they are looking for large market. That's why this is the biggest, perhaps, the business delegation he is leading.
Right.
I mean, the focus at this point of time looks clearly that how do really British businesses and Indian businesses can take advantage from the trade deal which both the countries have really signed. And they would really like to, meet each other, try to see where things, where possibilities are. And the focus is on business. That's why, in fact, it's happening in Mumbai, which is a business center.
Yeah.
So the financial
right.
happening there.
Right, definitely. Sir, you just talked about the biggest delegation. I would like to come back to that point. UK PM is here with a biggest delegation perhaps, of over 100 people, 125. They are CEOs, representatives from British institutes, industry groups, and of course, a lot of things on the agenda. So how do you look at it? Keeping in perspective the fact that it's the biggest delegation with UK PM, 125 people.
There are two or three things. One, of course, is clear business. How do you really take advantage? And then the big business delegation, not just businesses. You also have the vice chancellors of many universities, because a lot of Indian students also go to UK, and particularly now the way the global geopolitics is happening, and India is also having difficulties now to finalize the trade deal with the United States, and UK was in fact the first which they did trade deal with the United States. So they also. And in fact, India is also looking, in fact, many of the exports which might be affected by the, immediate tariffs from the United States. And many of our students, those who are going earlier to study in the United States in large numbers, because of certain visa difficulties, they are also looking for new universities, new places. And Europe, and particularly the United Kingdom, has always been number one in that sense within Europe, where Indian would like to send their children, and Indian and all the old traditional linkages with the the British educational institutions. That's why a lot of British vice chancellor of many universities are also within this delegation. So there are many aspects, and this is also the time to show that yes, it's not just only United States, which is of course the largest economy in the world, but there are many ways that countries can really work together. And this particular trade deal is also very important both for India,
Hmm.
so for the UK, because after Brexit, still we are negotiating with the European Union as far as the trade deal is concerned.
Right.
I mean, they were also when they were part of the European Union since 2007, they were also negotiating with India. But now since 2022, when the separate negotiation with the UK was put on fast track, so we are able to kind of conclude this deal. So this also, kind of a political message, and also, of course, very good economic opportunities. But when Prime Minister was in UK in July when they finalized this deal, and we also signed many other things. I mean, there is also defense and industrial roadmap. Then we also have the Vision 2035. So the many of the things are lined up apart from trade and economics and investment. And one area where we have been talking for last many years, particularly how do we really build our defense partnership, particularly defense industrial partnerships. Now the roadmap is there, but now many things need to happen on that front. And obviously, this FTA or trade and economic partnership agreement, which given a new momentum, because the many deadlines were set when the many. Another thing also is very interesting that there has been a lot of political changes in the last few years in UK. I mean, we had now the Labour government. We earlier had
Yes.
Conservatives, and in the last 5 6 years we have many prime ministers have changed.
Hmm.
Despite all the political changes in the United Kingdom, still I think both the political parties, and there is a broader consensus to build partnership, economic partnership, which perhaps is also leading,
Right.
because it also came out earlier where they tilt towards the Indo-Pacific, and in the last few years, Indian foreign policy has also been one of the major issue has been about the discussions about Indo-Pacific, how India is so important within Indo-Pacific. So they have also been looking India and the UK working together within Indo-Pacific, particularly in the context of rising and assertive China. But on certain issues, particularly in the Ukraine, there have been certain different perceptions. The way I think the British, the establishment looks at the Ukraine war, and we have certain slightly different perceptions about this. But that has not really stopped us from really.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that, sir. I want to ask you, Professor Sachdeva, this is the era of new and modern technologies, and a nation's development is also seen from the fact that how technically advanced the country is, and India and the UK will work together when it comes to technologies of tomorrow, future technologies, will also deepen collaboration in critical and emerging technologies. How do you see this? What's your assessment of this?
Well, I mean, this is one area, obviously. I mean, we have seen not just only in the defense and other area, we have seen the health sector.
Yeah.
During COVID, how, we both Britain and India, I mean, when we worked together, we were able to produce, I mean, millions of those doses of AstraZeneca. So it means, and we are also working also in many of the green technologies, because, they also have certain technologies which India, its own green transition, and we can work together in many of those areas. And you look at all those, the critical areas which you mentioned, whether we are talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about quantum, we're talking about all these, green technologies which are going to be the future, or many other areas where, and one is that despite certain difficulties, but I think still many of the British institutions and the universities, they are still quite good in many of those cutting edge technologies. And interestingly, because of our traditional linkages with the British institutions, they also have very strong linkages with the Indian industry, within Indian research institutions, and with the Indian in the universities. So it's very easy to work, and of course in the same language we work. So it's very easy to work together, with the British, technology firms. And this is what they are also looking, because since India is also, in many of the areas, pretty good, particularly, I mean, in the IT sector and in many other sector, which is quite known that the Indian industry is pretty good. And we also have large workforce. And now when there are difficulties, they are facing in China, there are also difficulties now also, within the United States.
Yeah.
So it's a very different kind of environment in which they are looking that, there is a possibility that India and UK can really work together.
Definitely. And this visit by the UK PM will certainly strengthen the bond between both the countries, certainly. Thank you so much for joining in on DD India News. Thank you so much again.